You know, when you mention the name Irv Rudley, first thing comes to mind is history. Irv is history. Irv's the oldest living filmmaker in Miami. Ask him. He'll lie. He says it isn't him. But he is the oldest living filmmaker in Miami. He knows more about what's happened here and what history's all about. He's so well informed, it's unbelievable. Ask him. He has an answer for everything. Irv is a terrific guy. I'm very proud of my association with him. It's always been a pleasure working with Irv. Sometimes I question that, but it's always a pleasure working with a guy like Irv and knowing him for the wonderful person that he is. I really felt that I was a part of an industry as it grew up. I was president of the first association. Actually, I think it was Toby Ross and then me, of the South Florida Film and Tape Producers Association, where I wanted to bring us all together to have a common bond so that we could not only protect ourselves, because there were always a lot of concerns about guilds and unions and where producers and directors stood, but I think I've done as much I could possibly do to give our image the strongest possible image we could have. I did and was nominated to be the liaison for the city and the state. I never got that high, but I tried, and I know that I have a feeling that the biggest contribution I may have made to the industry is I brought a lot of young people into it by encouraging them, by letting them know my story. How when I went to get a job after I got out of the Army, Ralph Rennick says, you're good, go out and get experience. And it was always the same, where do you get that experience? Ralph wasn't about to hire me. I bet you he's turned down more people in the room we're in right now than anybody you know. But it's a terrible task to do that. But when I turned them down, they left smiling. You know, you think of some of the people that you got started, or at least think you helped to get started. I mentioned Victoria Principal earlier, telling her to head to New York or LA, not for the technical side, but the acting side, and she became successful, if you remember the Dallas series. There's a lot of people that you will see on TV, or some are with us, some are not anymore, that did a great job in the progression of our industry. As actors and actresses, they contributed a lot. But on the technical side, other than I worked with some cameramen, my teacher was a Cuban, Julio Chavez. Julio came over and was repairing sewing machines, and I hired him. And he became my teacher. We did feature films together at night. We would work from 6, 7 o'clock till 4 or 5 in the morning. Of course, we'd take a typical Latin break and drink a lot of vino and have a terrific dinner, probably give up 2 or 3 hours during the night. But we were always inspired to go to work, and we liked the long hours, and we enjoyed each other's company. Of all the people that I worked with, I think I'm most proud of a guy named Bob Gordon. Bob is what I call a $1 million director. I see his work. I've worked on some of his films. I did a couple making of a film with Bob Gordon. To see a guy work on his level, where he's got multiple trucks out there, where he's got crews of 100 or 150 people, where he hires the best from all over the world. He does a lot of action films, so if he wants to do action, he goes out and finds the best expert, be it mountain climbing, surfing, whatever. Bob finds the best people to do the job. But he did his first commercial, which I gave him the assignment because he almost drove me crazy. He wanted to do a commercial. So I gave him my full $500 budget, and I said, go make this commercial. Bob went out to do this film for me with Peter Gardner, and they turned out a super job. Client was happy, I was happy. He used some techniques that I didn't think we could do for that money. And you know what? Commercial never ran. But Bob ran. He runs with the ball every day. I received instant mail the other day. Bob was in Dubai doing a commercial. He went from there to another place in India. He's always traveling all over the world doing usual and unusual commercials. One of his major accounts, I believe, is Plavix. Just see how much those pills cost, and you know why Bob Gordon's doing them. He does a terrific job by creating illusions, lifestyle. He can do anything. and you enjoy watching his work because he is aware of every detail. Not one detail goes by without Bob Gordon being totally aware of what's happening. That's what makes a great director. You always wonder what happened to the youngins that you sent out into the field to work. Well, I had one young guy come to work for me, and when he gave me his name, I didn't believe he was actually in the automotive restoration business. But his name, Weiler, Bill Weiler's son, Max. How do you come up with a name Max? I mean, it's not, only Max was Max von Stronheim, and I don't think in any way that Weiler goes with Stronheim. Maybe Scotch and soda, but not Weiler and Stronheim. I'm kind of proud of Max, because I saw a kid who we thought would destroy his father's business, and he got into a relationship with Flannelmouth, Earl Wainwright, and I think he took over his father's position with the company, or he managed somehow to take over the company, which we know as Accord, and he grew a giant. I mean, he didn't just do it with a little pea seed. He grew. He turned an industry into an industry. Just duplicating and copying old films and old videos was a major breakthrough. And I know that he was an entrepreneur in that I think every dollar he ever made, he reinvested back in his business. And that's what makes a success. He wasn't out to see what he could do for himself, but what he could do to build an industry. And, you know, I used to say, Max, want to go play some golf? He didn't believe in that. He didn't believe in pleasure. He had this mental problem. He believed you got to work day and night, and he still does. I can't think of anybody, or if I could, I wouldn't mention him in any relationship with Max, because nobody I know works as hard as he does.
Anything else you'd like to say for posterity? Thank you.
Funniest moment? I wished I had a collection of the shots. We did have some fun times, though. One of the situations we had on our set is I had a guy working for me. Kerwin was his name. We called him Rooney. Well, Rooney had some unusual habits, but he always did everything he could to make the director look good, namely myself. So he and I had worked out a thing where if a client got upset or something went wrong, I gave him a password which happened to be bananas. When I said bananas, he said, "It's my fault, boss, I did it." He knew to take the blame. He knew how to take the heat off my back. We had some fun times playing banana.